Hello.
Hi friends,
Yeah, hi.
how are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Can you please turn on your cameras?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, shall we start now?
Yeah,
Tell me about yourself.
yeah. So my name is Prince Kumar, and I have a 6 year experience as Java developers. And I'm working currently in the Birla shop. And I have a skill set like Java, Spring Boot, microservices, Angular, React, and database side like MySQL, MongoDB, Oracles. And then after I have exposure in cloud also like Docker, Kubernetes, Kafka, and AWS services. I got qualified with AWS Cloud Practitioner. So those are the experience I have. After that, like I have a knowledge in banking sectors and then after healthcare sectors. And also I have exposures in some regulatory domains. So those are the experience and that's all I have. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. What is the difference between final, finally, and finalize?
Okay. So difference between finally and finalize. So finally, basically we are using for making some variable as a finals or class as a finals. So if you make some class as a finals, nobody can extend it. And like if you use as a variable, so nobody can reinitialize it. So those are the conditions based on the requirements. We can use the final keyword. And finally, we are using, for examples, in the finally block, if you are dealing with some of the exceptions like try catch block and exception, you are trying to handle it multiples and you want to close the connections of what are the streams you have created the connection. For example, you are reading some data into the files or writing from the files, or maybe you have some connection of database or maybe some AWS. So those kind of the activity we can close those connections, even any exceptions or something happen in your code, it will remain close the connection. So those type of the connections or those type of the codes generally we are writing inside the finally block, so that even the exceptions occurred or something like your code is not working properly or suddenly it got some to the catch block, so still it will handle it and it will close the connection. So in that case we are using the finally block. So in the simple terms, if I say like finally block is the block which is execute always, even exception happen or not happen in the try blocks or those kind of the activity, it will handle it. And finalize block, if I talk about, so finalize block basically we are using for the GC garbage collectors call. So whenever we are calling system.gc method, so internally it's calling the finalize block and it will clear all those unwanted data which is stored inside the memory, which is unreferenced or maybe it's a unused. In futures we don't require to use it. So like the data we are erasing from the memory and it will allocate those memory to some other processing unit. So those are kind of the activity it will do by the finalize method. Yeah, this is the differences.
Okay. Explain the use of optional in Java 8.
Explain the,
In Java 8.
okay. So basically optional is one of the, if I talk about, it's one of the features they have provided in Java 8 features. So optional classes they have introduced to handle the exceptions which is occurs abnormally. So generally, previously we are writing a codes with the try catch blocks and we are handling the exceptions. But if they introduce the Java 8 features, then we are using the stream API and inbuilt collections methods, inbuilt multiple streams. They have a methods. So in that case, we can't use the try and catch block to handle the exceptions. So basically they have provided the optional classes to easily, it will compatible with the streams, stream method or collections, and it will work with them, and it will like if any null pointer exceptions will happen, it will easily handle it. If some exceptions do you want to throw, you can throw it. If some null check if you want to do, you can do easily with the optional classes. So those kind of the error scenario we can handle with the optional classes. That is the benefit we have. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. What are the solid principles in host?
Solid principle. So solid principle basically it's one of the object oriented programming best practices features, we can say. So solid principles basically help us and recommend us like, hey, what are the OOPS concept you are going to design, or what are the project you are going to do with the OOPS. Definitely you have to implement this particular recommended best practices, so that in the futures you can easily scale your project. You can reuse your project classes methods, and you can extend it in the futures. We can make it a big project also. But if you not follow those principles, and if you write code anyway, then like in the futures you can get lots of the compatibility and lots of the complexity you can face. But if you understand those recommendations, those solid principles, then easily you can design your object oriented programming very easily, and very easily you can extend it and you can reuse it. So for that, they have provided some principle like SS stand for single responsibility principles, and SO stand for the open close principle. So if I talk about single responsibility principle, so in the single responsibility principle means every class having only one region to change. So those it's recommend like you don't want to write everything inside one classes. You have to make it each and everything separate based on the behaviors or activity. You have to introduce new classes. Don't write everything inside one classes. So that is the single responsibility of the classes. Second is the open close principle. So what are the classes you are creating? It's open for extension but close for the modifications. And list scope substitution principle means what are the parent classes we have, those are replaceable with the child classes. So this is the list scope substitution principles. And then after we have a SOLI, I for like inversion of controls, and D for the dependency inversions. So if I talk about I, so I is basically like inversion of controls. So what are the like classes object we have created, it will maintain in the one place. Inversion of controls, so those are recommending. So those are the basically overall solid principles.
Okay. Explain about collection and different of hash map and concurrent hash map.
Okay, so collection is nothing but it's a one of the way to arrange the data into the multiple format or collection, you can say. So in the Java, they have provided one framework called collection, and those collections are responsible to handle different type of the data. Even it's generic data, it can handle it. So those collections basically you are asking about the differences. So if I talk about differences between hash map and concurrent hash map, so hash map basically it's a legacy classes. You can not say legacy classes, but it's a map which can hold key value pair data, and it's not a thread safe. If you do operations with the multiple threads, you can maybe get if you do the operation to the same indexes, or maybe same place modification or update or reading at the same time. So you can get it concurrent modification exceptions. So because of that they have introduced concurrent hash map, which is capable to handle those kind of the issue. Like they will create multiple segment, and it will work for the segment level blocking, and it's improve the performance compared to hash map, you can say. Also, you can say like multiple thread at the same times can go and they can operate it into the different segment. For example, we have a one concurrent hash map and size is 16. So at the same time, 16 thread can utilize those particular collections, concurrent hash map basically. But in the hash map, it will not able to utilize it because of it's not able to lock the particular segment. It will do the operations, but it will get some concurrent modification exception. But in the concurrent hash maps, we can't see the concurrent modification exceptions. So those are the couple of the differences we have.
Okay. I will give you one coding question. Please do it.
Okay.
Let's see.
So find the occurrence count of each characters of a string. Okay. Can I use STS?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
No. Let's see.
Okay. Let me share my screen. STS. Now?
Yeah. It has.
Okay. So I'm going to create one class. Find occurrence count. So this class I have created, let me create the main methods and this is the questions. Then after this is the example. So what I will do is like I have one string is equal to A, B, C. So let me put inside the one strings and I have to find out the occurrence count of each character. So A is 2 times,
Okay.
B is 2 times, C is 2 times, D is 1 times, E is 1.
Yes.
Okay. So I can use Java 8 features. I can do with that easily. So for examples, I have a string. So I will convert into the int stream with chars because I don't have any other method which can convert into the characters or maybe some other strings. So because of that, I'm converting to the int streams dot uh, map to map to map to object, and each characters I will take and it will convert into the integer. So again I will convert into the character. So I will give here C and dot, then I have to collect it. So I can use collectors dot grouping by, and each characters I will tell like each characters I need counting. So I can use collectors dot counting and it will return me one map. So I will assign those map. So this is nothing but frequency occurrence count, and this particular map I will try to display it. Can I run this code? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so A is 2 times, B is 2 times, C is 2 times, D is 1 times, E is 1 times. If I write again something D or maybe some other words, so for that also it will work.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Explain the string beans life cycle.
A string bin life cycle. Okay, so if I talk about, can I close, stop my screen? Okay. So the life cycle of the spring bean is like we have a multiple types of the beans scope. So if I talk about the scope of the beans, so they have a like session scope, application scope, request scope, singleton scope, and application scope, session scope, request scope, singleton scope, prototype scope. So those are the type of the beans we have, and based on the requirement we can use which bin life cycles we want to use it. So whenever we are creating any bins which is going to store inside the IOC container in version of controls, and those bins we are maintaining as a like life cycle. And also if I talk about what is the beans life cycle, so if it is a session scope object or bin, so it will work for the particular user sessions. If it is something like based on the application level scope of the bin, so it will work for the entire application. So for example, we have a application dot YML files or configurations data. So those data we are keeping as a application scope, so that we can see those data in entire inside entire the applications. If it is session scope, then particular user sessions they can see it. So and request scope, like for the each request we are creating some new object for the each request, that is called a request object or request scope. Or prototype scope means this the scope which is duplicating itself and working for the multiples threads, that is called prototypes scope. And singleton scope means this the bins which is work for the entire project for the single object only, that is called singleton bin scope. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. What is the circuit breaker? How do you implement it?
Yeah, so basically in the microservice architectures we are using the circuit breaker. And circuit breaker is one of the like way to implement or minimize the failure of our applications. So it's a, like providing a prevention of our applications or service calls. So for that we are using it. So for examples, we are calling some particular services and those services are continuously failing. So in that case, unnecessary one services are calling to other services, and it's happened continuously. So if you not use the circuit breakers, it will unnecessary. It will take lots of the times and lots of the space to maintain all those things, and your application also not work properly. So because of those issue, preventing those issue, they have introduced circuit breaker patterns, and those having a one technique like for implementing which method is calling to which services. So in that we can annotate at the rate circuit breakers, and we can provide the service name and what is how many types of the attempt we have to do, like 3 attempt or 4 attempt. Those configurations we can provide. And once those method will call that particular services, those services will like they have a three stage. One is open stage, closed stage, and half open stage. So always by default it will be a closed stage, but if some services are not responding after hitting the 3 or 4 times, based on the configurations 4 times, then it will go to the open stage. And if remains it will not work, it will still continue the open stage. If it is start again, it's restored and it will start working in the services, so it will go to the half open stage. And after 4 or 5 feet it's work properly, then it will go to the again closed state. So these are the life cycles which we are maintaining and preventing the cascading failure with our applications.
Okay. What is the role of Spring security in securing REST API?
Okay, so Spring Boot security is one of the largest framework which is helping to secure your entire applications. They have a multiple type of the authentication authorizations. For example, you have a form-based login, authentications, authorizations. Also, they have some, if you are talking about REST API. So for the REST API, for example, every API, they have provided some annotation like pre-auth, authorize. So with the help of that annotations, we can secure our particular applications to access some other people's or some other activity. So those attack we can handle with those authorizations. Also, in the Spring Boot security itself having a HTTP security. So with the help of we can provide like which user can access which particular endpoint, which user cannot access which particular endpoint. So based on the role specifications, we can define which user can access this particular endpoint or not access. Those kind of the activity we can do with the Spring security. Apart from this, we can integrate with the third-party API, which is OAuth or maybe LDAP and Okta. So those kind of the activity also it will support by the Spring Boot security, or maybe user ID password authentication with the help of the big crypt encoders, or sometimes in the applications people are using JWT tokens authentication. So in that flow, like once users are logging successfully, we are creating one token from the server side, we are sending back to the browsers UI, they are storing it, and in the every request of the application, they are sending those particular token as a header, and we are receiving those particular tokens as a headers, and then after we are doing the processing on that, and we are getting those data, and we are extracting it, and we are checking like, okay, this is the valid token or not, and from that we are reading the user id and we are comparing like this token is expired or not. So those kind of the security also it will support by the Spring Boot security.
Okay, I have done from my side. Do you have any questions?
No, from side my side I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.